Good afternoon, Algebra 2. It's Mr. Morales, and today I'm going to try to, in the next 15 minutes before the bell rings, hopefully get through as many of these types of problems that you're going to be seeing on your review today to help you when you review tonight for your quiz on Thursday. So here we go. For numbers 1 through 10, simplify each expression. That's all it simply says. So let's go ahead and start working these out. The square root of negative 64. You can't have the square root of a negative number, so you break it up into the square root of negative 1 times the square root of the positive version of the number you want. We know the square root of negative 1 is going to be I, so that's part of our answer here. The square root of 64 in this case is going to be positive 8. So what we get here for our answer is going to be 8I. Put that right over here. Number 2. 2 times the square root of negative 108. So 2 times the square root of negative 1 times the square root of positive 108. 2 comes on down. I know the square root of negative 1 is going to be I. And then now I need to figure out the square root of 108. To figure out the square root of 108, I need to figure out what's the biggest perfect square that goes into 108. And that number is going to be 36. Because 36 times 3 gives me 108. The square root of 36 is going to be 6. So I have a 6, I have an I have a 2, and I have the square root of 3. 6 times 2 is 12. I comes along to the right, as does the square root of 3. So 12I square roots of 3 is my solution for number 2. For number 3, multiplication. Negative 5 times negative 3 is going to give me a positive 15. I times I is I squared. If we remember, I squared is the same thing as negative 1. So 15 times negative 1 equals negative 15. So there's my third answer. Number 4, I times the square root of 7 squared. So first I'll square everything. I get I squared in the front times square root of 7 squared. Those undo each other, and I'm left with just 7, and then times 2I at the end. So now I'm going to go ahead and multiply my whole numbers. 7 times 2 is 14. I squared is negative 1. And then I have that regular I that was with the 2 originally. 14 times negative 1 gives me negative 14 with that I traveling along for the road. Number 5, this is going to be a FOIL problem. 8 times negative 6 is going to go ahead and give me negative 48. 8 times negative 12I is going to give me negative 96I. 3I times negative 6 is negative 18I. And 3I times negative 12 is going to give me a negative 36I squared. So now I'm going to go ahead and look at this last part. I know negative 36 times I squared is negative 1. So a negative 1 times a negative 36 means I really have a positive 36 at this end. And over here I have negative 48 at this end. So if I combined negative 48 and positive 36 together, I'm going to end up with, let's see, 36, 46, like what, negative 12, I believe. Then I have negative 96 i's minus 18 more i's. Negative 96 minus 18 more is going to see negative 96, 106, it's going to be 112i minus 112 i's. This can all be simplified by, let's see, what number will go into both of these for number 5? Excuse me. I lost my place here. Here I go. So it's a plus 3i. Let's see. I believe I can divide everything, at least cut it in half. That'll give me negative 6 minus 52i. I can divide everything, I think, by maybe 6. Let me see. This one we need a little more work on. I will show you the answer I got, although I'm not really getting the answer that the situation says in my notes here, which is 2 minus 9i. Oops, let me write it down. 2 minus 9i is what I'm getting. And I'm trying to figure out, oh, I see what I did wrong. I made this way too complicated for number 5. I started doing FOIL, and it's not a FOIL problem because everything is just being added and subtracted. So I do apologize for that. So let me show you how I'm supposed to read this. Because I had a plus sign in the middle right here, I shouldn't have multiplied, I should have just added. So 8 plus negative 6 means 8 minus 6, which is 2. 3 i's plus negative 12 i's is negative 9 i's. And there's my simple answer. Sorry for being a moron on that one. I guess I should read the problem a little better. Let that be a lesson for you guys. Moving on to number 6. This one's going to be more of combining like terms. 5 minus 1 gives me a 4. Negative 9i, right on the bottom, minus 4 more i's. Negative 9 minus 4 more leaves you with negative 13i. So I have 4, I have minus 13i, so I have 4 minus 13i. Remember, the real numbers go first, the imaginary numbers go second. Number 7. This now finally is going to be a FOIL problem. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times negative 2 is negative 18i. 5i times 4 is positive 20i. And 5i times negative 2i is negative 10i squared. So now I'm going to do what I did previously. I have this negative 10 times a negative 1, because that's what I squared equals, negative 1. Negative 10 times a negative 1 means I really have a positive 10. So positive 10 plus 36 more. 36 plus positive 10 is going to give me a 46. So there's the first part of my answer. Now let's go ahead and deal with this I stuff in the middle. Negative 18 i's plus 20 i's leaves you with positive 2 i's left over. Negative 18 plus 20 is a positive 2. We're measuring i's there. Number 8, I have negative 1 minus 3i squared, which means negative 1 minus 3i times itself again. Sorry, my phone went off there. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. Negative 1 times negative 3i is positive 3i. Negative 3i times negative 1 is also a positive 3i. Negative 3i times negative 3i is positive 9i squared. So I had positive 3i in the middle plus another positive 3i. That's going to give me a total of 6 i's. There's part of my answer, 6 i's. Now I have to do this work. I have a positive 1, I'll write it right here, positive 1 plus 9 times negative 1, because I squared is negative 1. So that really means I have 1 minus 9, which is going to be a negative 8. So remember, your real number goes first, negative 8. Then I have 6 i's attached with that. Moving on to the last two in this first section, number 9 and number 10. For number 9, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and let's see what I did here. Oh, you're going to have to, now when you can't have I in the denominator. So whenever that happens, you multiply the numerator and the denominator both by I. So when I multiply everything on the top times I get 20 times I plus 8i times I, which is 8i squared on the top. On the bottom, I get 4i times I, which is 4i squared. Remember, wherever you see an I squared, that means times negative 1. So I have 20i plus 8 times negative 1 over 4 times negative 1 on the bottom. I simplify all of that. This, on the top, I have 20i minus 8 over negative 4. I can now reduce everything. In this problem, I can divide everything by 4. And when I do that, I end up with an answer. Actually, move my answer key a little bit further down. There we go. I end up with an answer for number 9 of, let's see, 4 goes into 20, 5i times. 4 goes into 8, 2 times. So, actually, that's a negative 20, right? Let's see. Actually, no, that's positive. Oh, that's a negative 8. So that gives me a positive 2 minus 5i, because I'm dividing a positive by a negative, which should give me a negative 5i. There we go. And then, now the signs for that. So 2 minus 5i is what you end up with there. And now for number 10. I'm going to have to erase some of my previous work, which is already saved on video, so you can always rewind to see what I took off here to do number 10. I'll change the color up so it doesn't get too confusing either. So number 10, I'm going to get my color to change. I have a fraction and I have i's on the bottom. Whenever you have complex numbers, real numbers with stuff with I all mixed in together, you have to multiply by the conjugate. That means you keep the same real number, but you change the sign of your I stuff. So I'll multiply both the top and the bottom by 10 plus 2I. Multiply the top, multiply the bottom, straight across. So when I go ahead and do that, negative 4 times 10 is negative 40. Negative 4 times 2I is negative 8I. Negative 4I times positive 10 is negative 40I. And then negative 4I times positive 2I is negative 8I squared. On the bottom below that, I do the same process again. And when I multiply everything out, I get 100 plus 20I minus 20I minus 4I squared. These I squares turn to negative ones. 20I minus 20I cancels out. So what I end up with, see, negative 8 times negative 1 now becomes a positive 8 on top. Negative 4 times negative 1 becomes a positive 4 on the bottom. So I have negative 40 plus 8, which ends up giving me a negative 32 on top. Negative 8I minus 40I is negative 48I over 100 plus 4 is 104. All these can be divided by 2 and, actually, they can all be divided by, I think, 4. And when you simplify everything, you get negative 4 minus 6I over 13. After you simplified everything into its lowest form. Negative 4 minus 6I, everything divided by 13. So those are the first 10 problems rushed pretty fast. And I'll go ahead and try to get into now the next problems. Let's see what we have here. 11 to 12. So for these ones, just simplify them. And I don't care about which sets they belong to. We're not studying set notation or the numbers. So just simplify these. Give me your final answer. Tell me what I to the 49th will equal. Use your notes. For number 12, 6 plus I and 6 minus I. FOIL those and see what you get. I can tell you right now, for number 11, if you did it right, you should just get an I. And for number 12, your answer should end up being 37. When you multiply an imaginary number times its conjugate, you always end up with a whole number. In this case, we would get 6 times 6, which is 36. 6 times I is negative 6I. I times 6 is positive 6I. And positive I times negative I is negative I squared. These cancel out in the middle, so I end up with 36 minus negative I squared. Well, 36 minus, really just 36 minus I squared. I squared is negative 1, so I get 36 minus negative 1, which becomes 36 plus 1, 37. That's how you get that. I am about running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably continue the video in the second version on the back, maybe tomorrow. So best of luck with the first half, and I'll get to the second half in the next video.